final breaths of a giant star, where the universe gathers its power to a single point of ultimate concentrated fury. It forges a ball of pure energy, wound tight enough to bend space-time itself, a knot of sheer force balanced on the knife edge of instability, before exploding.
This is the M2 CS, and driving this car feels like the world's exploding.
Welcome then to BMW's Neutron Star, a humble 2 Series jammed with 530 horsepower and 650 Newton meters of torque. A kernel of concentrated energy primed and ready to detonate.
And to cause that supernova, to trigger that detonation, all you need is the slightest of touches on the accelerator.
It's a car that just shimmers and fizzes with energy. The CS might be small, but it packs a punch.
What do they say? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And this little pit bull, wow, it's got a lot of fight, trust me.
So what have the M Division's mad scientists done to the regular M2 to create this cosmic explosion of a coupe? Well, first of all, they've stuffed it with the engine from the latest M3 for an extra 50 horsepower and 50 Newton meters of torque.
And then they got to work on the chassis. The springs are shorter and firmer, so it rides closer to the ground. The steering, the traction control, and the dampers have all been given a working over, so they're a lot more aggressive. And then they went full NASA on the weight saving. And when you're launching a rocket, every gram helps.
The CS weighs in at 30 kilos lighter than the standard M2, thanks to the inclusion of a carbon fiber roof, door mirror surrounds, spoiler, and boot lid. And there's carbon all over the gaff inside: dashboard, paddles, seats, even the transmission tunnel's carbon fiber, which means there's no central armrest and no cup holder. But when you've got 530 horses going to the back wheels, caffeine is definitely unnecessary.
What I like about this car is the fact that it feels the right size. It doesn't feel massive, which is important, especially in the UK. I'm a big fan of the M5 CS. It's one of my favorite cars probably ever, but when you're driving that car, especially in the UK, it can feel a bit like you're having one long accident with the scenery, but with this, it just feels right. It just feels like one angry little ball of performance. The brakes are utterly fantastic. The balance is incredible. You can just play with the car's attitude on the throttle all day long. And it's just bloody fast as well. And when it comes to weight, you know what? I'm glad they didn't take the back seats out of this car like so many companies do. It means it's usable. You can take your family on the school run in an M2 CS. I mean, you might not want to. The interior might be upholstered in a lovely shade of this morning's cornflakes if you do. Yeah, you don't want to drive like that with your family in it, but just get rid of them.
With this CS, you don't have to drive it like the Galaxy's about to implode. But at the same time, it kind of forces you to drive it like the Galaxy's about to implode.
And fighting that urge is quite tricky, so you know, I'm just gonna calm down. Just gonna calm down. And relax for a second. Have a little break. Unclench. Or I could just launch it. You know, I'm gonna launch it. Whoa! It wants to swap ends in a straight line. It's a bloody maniac.
BMW says this car will do 0 to 62 in 3.8 seconds. That's mad for a 2 Series. That's quicker than the original Zonda, faster than a Ferrari F50. Obviously doing that in the real world, aka a depressing British winter, isn't always possible, but even today, on a greasy, damp Dunsfold, it managed 0 to 62 in 4.8. A beautiful performance in these conditions. And speaking of BMWs performing beautifully, what's the best way to transform your car's abilities? We think we have the answer: change the wheels. In our new 4-part series, we're changing the wheels on our BMW Z4. We're using train wheels to run on the train tracks to avoid traffic on the roads, tiny go-kart wheels to improve fun factor and driftability, Formula 1 wheels to improve handling on the track, and giant off-road wheels to take our car anywhere we want. One car, unlimited abilities. Tune in to Wheelie Bad Ideas. Check the link in the pop-out banner or find out more in the description below. Now, back to the M2. And speaking of beautiful, since the M2 launched, there's been plenty of debate about whether it's a pretty car or not. Actually, that's not true. No one's ever called it pretty. The debate was whether it's excitingly ugly or just ugly.
And the design of this M2 CS isn't going to calm that debate down anytime soon, because this car is a lot more brutalist than ever before. There's a new front grille with a single horizontal bar across the front, designed to suck in extra air and leaves and stones. Honestly, it's so open here. Imagine getting a stone flicked up into your radiator. That is RIP radiator, trust me. And then down here we got this rubbery lip, which looks terrible, but it's actually a good idea to have that, because this car is actually quite low and you will scrape a lot of speed bumps on your journeys.
Those gold Y-spoke alloys are 19s at the front, 20s at the rear, behind which you'll find optional carbon ceramic brakes gripped by red calipers. And at the back stands the CS's pièce de résistance, that beautiful spoiler, integrated into the boot lid and sculpted from carbon.
BMW call this a ducktail. And I see where they're coming from, because it looks like a duck's tail and it's designed to generate downforce. But an actual duck's tail generates upforce, doesn't it? Because ducks fly. So how is this a ducktail if it doesn't generate downforce? If it's generating upforce, then it's not a duck's tail. I don't know, mate. It's all very confusing, but it does look cool.
As for the size, well, some people have pointed out that the M2 isn't actually that tiny. It's the same size as an old M3, and they're not wrong. This M2 is bigger than old M3s. In fact, the last M3 smaller than this M2 was the E46 of the noughties, a total legend. But even in its most powerful, most legendary CSL guise, that car made 170 horsepower less than this new M2 CS. When it comes to stuffing huge power into a compact car, the CS is in a whole different league, a whole different galaxy.
So what's not to like about this furious little ball of energy? Well, one thing is it just wants to skid everywhere. I promise you, I wasn't doing that on purpose. It just wanted to go. If you got the traction off, it's gonna slide, especially in conditions like these. Leave the traction on, believe me. The other thing is it's got a really chunky steering wheel. The girth is very girthsome. Not a lot of people are gonna appreciate that unless you got girthy hands. Look at that, that wasn't me, that wasn't me. That was the M2 CS. And then the other thing you might be annoyed at is the fact that it doesn't come with the option of a manual gearbox. Your options here are automatic or automatic.
And that's because BMW's manual box can't handle the CS's extra torque. No great loss though. Shifting your legs around between the pedals isn't the easiest, especially with the giant seat humps designed to keep your legs in place. And also because BMW's manual box was never the best. This auto box is actually brilliant.
It's also just a very, very angry car. Everything about it just feels like it wants to attack the road. Look at that, look at that. See, that's, whoa. That's not me, that's not me. It's just an angry car. A normal M3 can feel quite placid and civilized. This thing, no, it wants to attack everything around it at all times. The other thing I'm not really sure about, and I can't really tell if it's the conditions or not, but it feels quite nose heavy. Of course, it's got the engine at the front. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. And then you've got the lightweighting, which happens at the rear in the form of that carbon boot lid. And I do wonder whether the front end is a bit heavier than the back. I know they're aiming for 50-50 weight distribution, but have they achieved it? I don't know. What it means is that in conditions like these, it does suffer from a little bit of understeer. It's hard to slow the car down as I go into hammerhead right here. Look at this, understeer, 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 but I boot it and it slides.
So what about price? When it comes to charging for their special editions, the M division's always been happy to shoot for the stars, and this new M2 CS is no different.
Let's have a look. The new M2 CS costs, wow, £40,000. That's pretty cool, actually. Oh no, hang on, sorry. £40,000 is what you'll spend every year on tyres. Yeah, the M2 CS costs £96,000. 92 grand for a 2 Series. Who's doing BMW's pricing? Salt Bay. I'll just have a look at the Autotrader app quickly and give you some context though. Yeah, look at that. You can actually get the previous generation car for around 20 grand. That sounds a lot more like it.
So yes, the CS is power dense and also very price dense. Look a little closer though, and maybe that number isn't quite so bad as it looks. For starters, it includes those lightweight carbon ceramic brakes, which are an £8,800 option. Factor in the extra stuff you get as standard, including the carbon roof, the M3 engine, and the CS works out to be about 8 grand more than a regular M2.
Which sounds a whole lot better, right? Plus, if you're gonna buy a two-door sports car, what are you gonna get that's new? The Porsche Cayman doesn't really exist anymore. The Alpine A110, that's on its way out. You could get a Lotus Emira, but that's far less power and also only 2 seats. So really, the M2's the car to go for.
When BMW announced the M2 CS, we knew it had the potential to be an all-timer, but its greatness was far from guaranteed.
Truth is, not everything the M division has touched recently has turned to gold. The new M5, that's divided opinion. The new XM, that's something. The new M2 CS though, it's everything we thought it would be. They've knocked it out the park yet again. This is what they do better than pretty much anyone else. It's a furious, pugnacious ball of energy that will skid for days, weeks, and months. The M2 CS is an all-timer. It's a star.